guys, it's Walt. I'm reviewing a graphic novel today. It's Unreal City by DJ Bryant. I haven't read a lot of graphic novels this year, and I have to say I only do reviews of things that I'm really impressed by, and I was very impressed by this debut. It's Mr. Bryant's first graphic novel, a collection of 5 short stories, one of which was previously released in a issue of Mome, the anthology series by Fantagraphics. But I didn't know it before that. It was a recommendation online somewhere, and I was pleasantly surprised when it arrived. It's only $17, and it's a pretty large book. It's really pretty, and especially pretty on the inside. The artwork by Mr. Bryant is excellent. It's a cross between Daniel Klaus and Charles Burns is somewhere in there. It's hard to overlook, which isn't a bad thing at all, I think. When someone is, coming out with his first work or her first work, and it's as polished and great looking as this, I'm absolutely astounded. I don't know what the reason was why Mr. Bryant waited so long, or it took him so long to get this out, but it makes us all more hopeful, us who are in the late 30s or beginning of the 40s, that you can still be a beginner if you have collected a lot of wisdom and craft, and then release your first work. It might even be better. And I will show you also some explicit pages here, because there are a few. This is not probably the most erotic one here. There are very sensual, erotic pieces in here, because all the stories are dealing with relationships, with love, with the obsession for the other sex. And I found them to be really exceptional in the way they were told. I will say that if you've read some of the Klaus or Burns' more surreal work, it's not something which is completely new. And I guess there will be a few reviewers out there who will say, well, he's just aping this guy and other guy. I mean, we all are aping other persons. We're all inspired by other artists. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but of course there has to be a spark of freshness to everything newly released, and I found it in here, definitely. And the fresh sparkle for me is the fact that Mr. Bryant has a certain way of telling his stories. I would call it a circular way. The beginning and the end are somehow part of a circle. It's hard to pinpoint it. It's hard to say where a story starts and where it ends. You could also say, well, it's surreal, it's Lynchian, it's uncanny. But the more interesting aspect is that he works with time and the flow of time in a very particular way. And I think most of his stories in here, when I think about it, I think, yeah, maybe one is, maybe it's one story that where it doesn't fit what I just told you, but the rest are really things that stick with you and make you think, and it's like a little riddle, a little poetic riddle that stays with you. Other than that, I want also to say that he's a very capable writer. He can write prose, so it's not just pretty pictures and some abstract stories and settings, and you know, everybody can be weird, but he's also a very good storyteller, graphically, but also like the voiceovers or the narrator's voice are written in a very pleasant and intriguing way. It sucks you into the story, and man, it's so easy on the eye. Beautiful, beautiful drawings. I will highlight one story, which is probably also his strongest one. And it's the last one, in which, for me, it's basically him dealing with the fact that he's really, really inspired by Daniel Klaus, and he deals with it in a story about a comic artist and his girlfriend. And this artist he's admiring has made his girlfriend, his real-life girlfriend, into an object of art. He has turned her into a fantasy. So you can look at the story from different perspectives. I guess if you're a feminist or a woman, you could say, well, yes, it's about the objectification of women through men's eyes or through male artists' eyes. Me as a man, I'm looking from a different angle, and I'm seeing that the fantasies that man, but also like I think every human has, is always something which has is anchored in reality, but is also a layer of reality itself. So it's not demeaning in any way. It's just an inspiration or a ladder which brings you to another layer of reality, where you turn something which, of course, on its first look may look different or feel different, into something not even elevated, but just different. So every romanticism is about that. You know, when you look at the foundations of romanticism, it's not that a blue flower is special in itself. Of course you have to put a lot of effort and your own fantasy into it to make it something different and special. And so yeah, this is one aspect to it, but it's also like he's also like, for me, going into his own subconscious and exploring the fact that yes, he is very much obsessed with this perfect other artist who's super successful, who can do everything right, and whenever he puts his pencil to paper, it doesn't turn out exactly the way this other guy does it. So it's also about the ego of artists and the envy that you feel for others who are seemingly better at the stuff that you're also trying to do, or they're just earlier with some ideas who you also had in a way, but you just didn't nail them the way they do, and all this, all those feelings of self-doubt and of the coming of age of an artist are in here. And like I said, again, I will show you a few pages. Beautifully drawn. I was so impressed with this collection of short stories that I definitely wanted to let you know about it. It's definitely one of the highlights of the things that I read the whole year, and I read a lot of prose this year, so it really holds up, is what I really want to say. And I recommend you, if you're interested in nice in nice graphical interpretations of stories, but also if you like storytelling in the vein of you know, Adrian Tomine, Charles Burns, Daniel Klaus, all those more literate graphic novelists. He's one of them, and he's one of the really good ones. Can't wait for a long format of his. Those are only short stories. Yeah, check them out. Check out this fantastic book by Fantagraphics. That's it, guys. If you want to support this channel, you know, you can buy stuff from me online. I have an eBay page, which is linked in the description. And other than that, I will be back with the single issues. Probably next week I will get them from my comic shop. Until then, have a good time. Bye bye.